Frost buildup in refrigerators. This can be found in LG.com. Go to the search engine and put frost. It'll bring you to our help library where it'll say frost buildup refrigerator. Now please note that LG refrigerators automatically defrost every 4 to 16 hours. If in these instructions it advises you to perform a manual defrost, by manual defrost we want you to unplug the unit, remove all your food and ice from the ice bin, leave the doors open and wait at least 8 hours for the unit to defrost. Make sure you put towels in and around the unit to soak up any excess water, both inside and outside, as the frost melts. After 8 hours, use a dry towel, remove any moisture that may be left inside the refrigerator or freezer. Plug the unit back in and wait 24 to 48 hours for the unit to return to normal operation. Make sure the vents inside the unit are not blocked. The refrigerator and freezer door both are properly leveled, and that the refrigerator and freezer doors are closing completely. After this unit has automatically or manually defrosted, follow the steps below to prevent frost buildup issues. Some of the things that you need to correct are limit the frequency of opening the doors and keeping the freezer compartment correctly filled. A freezer that is full actually uses less power and less chance of frosting than one that only has a couple of items in it. Reduce the amount of time the freezer is left open. This will also make sure the temperature inside stays consistent and cold. You should always make sure the door is closed properly every time you use it. Keep the freezer away from hot water heaters or furnaces. Too much heat or cold can make your freezer work overtime, and the result is a frost buildup. Break up large packages into smaller, airtight packages. Smaller packages freeze better, and make sure you dry each package before placing it in the freezer. Clean your freezer seal. This is often referred to as the gasket, monthly by wiping it down with soapy cloth. Add bleach if you see any mold. If it's ripped or torn, it needs to be replaced. Do not block your freezer's airflow by pushing it close to the wall. The coils, which are in the very back of the freezer, they need some space to be able to cool your freezer efficiently. Now, if you're in this section trying to troubleshoot a frost problem, it will first ask, troubleshooting frost buildup. First, do you see an error code on the display screen, and it asks you to answer yes or no. For the purposes of the video, I'm going to put no. Has a sheet of ice formed at the bottom of the freezer? So if we say yes, it's going to give you a list of items to check for. So if you were to notice a sheet of ice on the bottom of your freezer, the first thing we'd want you to do is check for door closure. Most times, slight opening around the freezer door can allow enough moisture to enter into your unit, which will cause a frost buildup. Rearrange the food items that may be preventing the door from closing properly. If a sheet of ice has formed at the bottom of the freezer, this is likely caused by a blocked drain line. You can manually defrost the unit as previously described. Then, if the ice forms on the floor a second time, you will need a professional technician to come out and clear the drain line. It is strongly recommended that a trained technician perform this repair because it will require disassembly of the refrigerator. Please visit our Request a Repair page for professional service. Now, if we go back and we put no to the question, do we have a sheet of ice in the freezer, you will come to a page that has frost buildup locations, and we list many. At each one, you will find an arrow on the right where you can expand it, and if it says near the door, hit the arrow, and it will go through many of the causes of frost buildup in that area. You'll find out that it may be because the door is not pushed all the way closed. It may be the food in the buckets in the refrigerator may be too tall or misplaced, so they're hitting against a shelf, which is keeping the door open. We may find out if it's in the freezer that maybe the guide rails have gotten off track because they are timed on the left and right. If that happens, all you have to do is take and remove all the items out of the way and pull the freezer drawer slightly, pull it all the way out, and then once you get it all the way out, move it all the way back in. This actually runs those gears off the track so that when they get back on, everything is realigned. So move it in and out about 3 times to make sure it's properly closing. The next step would be the freezer back wall. It's going to ask how full your refrigerator is. If it's relatively empty, there's more air circulating. The low temperature is going to cause more of the excess air to freeze. On the other hand, if it's tightly packed, a full freezer can sometimes block the air vents, preventing proper air circulation. That also can cause frost buildup. Current temperature settings. If the freezer's temperature is set too low, previous frost buildup may not fully melt during the automatic defrost cycle. If the freezer is set below 0, you may need to increase your temperature for at least 24 hours. Again, check the door closure to make sure it is properly closing. Reset the guide rails if necessary. The next item says entire freezer. Again, check door closure, reset guide rails, check your door gasket. Make sure there are no items blocking the freezer door from shutting correctly. Make sure nothing's fallen behind the drawers, which is keeping it from closing all the way. Visually inspect your gasket and make sure it's clean. There's no rips, tears. If it's dirty, warm water, mild detergent, clean the gasket. And make sure it's properly setting against the liner. And if there are any compressed parts of the gasket, take and slightly pull them out until they pop back out into place. If your gasket is ripped or torn or twisted, you may need to request a repair. The next item is the freezer floor, bottom of the refrigerator. On this repair, this would be the same as we talked about if you found a water frozen on the floor of the freezer. First, check your door closure. At that point, if it's not the door, it's probably a blocked drain line. You would need to do a manual defrost. Then wait, see if the problem reoccurs. If it does, call for professional service. Next, gasket and ice maker. Once again, check door closure of the refrigerator and freezer. Reset guide rails if necessary. In the third, we talk about proper leveling. There is actually a video that walks you through the proper leveling of the refrigerator. In the video, we also explain how to level the refrigerator and how to level the doors. There is a door adjustment tool which comes in the packet with the owner's manual for you to use. The left door has a nut at the bottom of the door which can be turned either left or right to raise or lower the left door. Some of the doors on the right use the same nut where others now have shims. They look like little C-clamps. They're going to require you to use a pair of pliers or needle nose, have someone lift the door, and you will pop them into place, and this video shows all of that information. Next is back of the refrigerator. Again, you would be checking your door closure, checking your gaskets, and checking for proper leveling of the unit. Back of the refrigerator, lower left. Once again, check door closures to make sure the door and door are all shutting correctly. Check your gaskets, make sure they're all proper. Again, check the leveling of the product. Bottom of the refrigerator. This is usually caused by frost that has melted or liquid that has spilled inside the unit. Manually defrost, wipe up any liquid at the bottom of the refrigerator, and put the unit back into service. Under the freezer basket. It's normal for a small amount of frost to accumulate in the freezer when the doors are open, but frost seen under the freezer basket is typically removed during the automatic defrost. Once again, check the doors. If you find a lot of it under the basket, do a manual defrost. Put the unit back into operation. If the water comes back, the ice, it's an indication of a blocked drain line, and you will need to call for professional service. The coils in the back of the refrigerator. If the freezer temperature is set too low, previous frost buildup may not be able to fully melt during the automatic cycle. If the freezer temperature is set below 0, you may need to increase that temperature slightly for at least 24 hours. Check door closures. Check your door gaskets, and again, check for proper leveling. Ice buildup inside the refrigerator. First, check your settings. The refrigerator setting should be at 37, freezer at 0. You may need to adjust and wait 24 hours. Check your door closings, check your gaskets, check for proper leveling. Top of the freezer. Check your door closing, check your door rails, reset if necessary, and check your door gaskets. Top of the bottom freezer drawer. This can be caused by hot food being placed in the unit. Do not place hot items in the freezer. If you're freezing leftovers or hot food, please wait until they've reached room temperature. This will prevent frost in the freezer and frostbitten food. Check your door closures, reset your rails if necessary, and check your door gaskets. Deli drawer or produce drawer at the bottom of the refrigerator. Again, placing hot foods can cause moisture and frost buildup in both sections. Check door closure, check door gaskets. Behind the glide and the serve drawer. Again, things that cause this would be hot food in the unit. Check your doors to ensure they're closing correctly. Check your door gaskets. The vegetable drawer. Vegetables with a high water content need to be at least room temperature before adding to these drawers. If not, the additional moisture can cause a fog or frost to occur. Check your door closures and check the gaskets. Now, in the videos where we also make mention that when you have a unit that has a plastic drawer in the freezer, finding a light frost or fog on that drawer face is normal. That drawer is 0 degrees in the freezer. When you open it and it comes into contact with room temperature air, it's just like a mirror fogging in the shower in your bathroom. It will fog up, but due to the extreme cold temperature, that fogged plastic will turn to frost. This is normal, and it's something that will go away during the automatic defrost as the unit's running, but every time you open that door, it is normal to see that plastic shelf in the freezer fogging and then frosting, and sometimes in the refrigerator, when you pull the drawers open, to see them fog. Hopefully, going through what causes frost and how to correct those things will help you and make it to where you do not need a service call. But if these fail, please know you can go into Request Service Repair and we will dispatch a technician to take care of the issue. Thank you for viewing Frost Buildup Refrigerators.